Welcome to our lovely future humans and our 5D collective, to those who are new and those who are regulars. I have some glitches going on, so we did have an original episode, but I chose to delete it since it was hard for the ears in certain moments, and I have tested my different devices, and well, lo and behold, the update is we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But in the meantime, I do want to share some of what we discussed again, and so that way those who are interested in the topic, since it's also an important one, can tune into it, and fingers crossed that the episode goes well. I had already recorded, I think it was 2 or 3. The computer is still doing what it's doing. So with that being said, the world's chaos and rigidity, yes, they are symptoms of emotional immaturity and unhealed leadership. As we did discuss, I used fractals, something that was trying to present from one human to all 8 billion. We all have a self. Now, if you have a steady self, awesome. If you have an unsteady self, that's not awesome. And those who are validating each other's emotionally immature mannerisms are part of the equation. So the symptom, it's fueled by each other, because some will say it's the top, some will say no, it's the bottom. I'm going to say it's both, because from top to bottom, it's involving people. That is the entire conversation of why, when you hear something like this, Thema Bryant Davis, PhD, when we do not acknowledge the wounds and the violations that people have experienced and carry, then we become one more person in the chain of people over their lives that have not truly seen them. So with that idea of fractal, which, by the way, let me go grab the definition. A fractal is a complex, never-ending geometric pattern that appears similar at different scales, featuring self-similarity. There's words like complex repeating pattern, self-similar structures, infinite pattern. And when you look at it from the neuroscience and neurobiology, it talks to us about how fractals are used to quantify the structural and functional complexity of the brain across multiple scales. When you look at psychology and mental health, it looks at fractals explain how we process information and regulate emotions. And somatics and body awareness, fractals describe the physiological systems that connect the mind and the body. And so for those of you who do journal prompts and mindset practices, so you're journaling, check out PayHip. There's a bundle there called From Uncertainty to Steadiness. And so those people, the ones of you who know the world isn't asking more of us, it's asking the same of us. It's because you know how to stay grounded. And that also means connected. And that means present. And so you use an integrated brain. Dr. Daniel Siegel's hand model. Alert, alert, that's not integrated. This is integrated. And you have a window welcome to your own emotional plane. So for mystics and spiritual, your energy body expands, but that's because you're a bilateral vertical overall integrated brain who's not having any trauma charges or memory barriers or jumps, time jumps, which involve clinical dissociation and more. So I'm going to pause that stuff to bring us to the topic at hand, and we'll have some more spiritual talk about it. But it was not something that I arrived at by thinking of it, FYI. I arrived at knowing what an embodied brain healthily looks like, and then what unhealthy is. And when decentralizing in the self and religious experiences from neuroscientist Patrick McNamara, his book and his interviews, is made clear, there is no reason to continue to use the word evil, devil, demon, monsters, demonic forces, any of that which are forces that are oppressive. Okay, so when you do notice the spiritual bypassing community and the somatic, they're one and the same, because they have a story for you of a good team and a bad team. And then it seems like they feel helpless, hopeless, and that they have no power, and that there's a battle going on. And so what I learned continuously from those who are smart, like Dr. Daniel Fox, and you might know it too, one, our nervous system prioritizes, I have notes here, predictability. Two, those who are uncomfortable with steadiness inside of them, they're comfortable with chaos and rigidity. Comfort is not always health, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents actively. Stability, repeating that, is health. And those who instead think intensity, not the regulated kind, because I have regulated depth and intensity, those who think the visceral, and so passion is not adrenaline and dopamine, okay? That's where it can become boring energy, apparently securely attached, truly loving relationships to people who are with unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. Okay, so personal responsibility and professional, number one, because I see a bunch of people out there who tell me their team is right. And I'm like, okay, the whole right wrong thing tells me that you're not a proper emotionally aware person. Our theme of the month is moving, and I shouldn't say proper, but I basically know that the world for those people is asking more of them than before, so they can join programs, and if they're good by whole professionals, they'll make sure to tell them, okay, do we have all our child parts integrated? Do you know where you come from? Are you a steady self? Do you own it? Did you take good care? I mean, I would ask a bunch of questions. Did you go to therapy? Would not? How do you I don't know, a bunch of questions. I'm just trying to make a point that when I hear of programs, I wonder, because I've been in courses, and those who are taught by educated attachment trauma educators are brilliant. Those that are taught by a mix, it depends. If they take seriously healing people, they will know healing happens with the good therapist. Then you're transformed. Now that you're steady, I'm really appreciative that you give me the honor to continue doing something with you, and that you don't whine about it. That's really awesome, because I mean, I know I get irritated. I'm still doing the micro habit right now. I'm working with it. I have been nudged, thanks God. Okay, so when you have a habit of a charge and you know where it comes from, you move beyond it, because otherwise you get boring to yourself. You see what I'm saying? So we don't change our minds, and we don't change ourselves. Those who are steady selves look out there in the world, from God to science. I'm like, yes, all my brothers and sisters, they're perfect if they have healthy perfectionism, and if they don't have hell in their body, self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart. If they have hell in their body, then I know with self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart, that they do inner critic, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking, binge eating, binge that, and then they love to go to spiritual bypass or professionals and somatic bypass or professionals, because they will get, like flat earthers, validated in their narratives and in their intense, dysregulated, maladaptive patterns of behavior, because they're the right ones. So with their self-righteous energy, they're going to project their chaos and their rigidity. And those who stand here and say that's the same coin, just two sides, yeah, we can see it. Do we want to make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race? There are children dying, and you know, I just got shared by my lovely family member, my baby sister. She's brilliant, and I am biased though, because she can do whatever she wants, and I will look at her as always with the eyes of you can do all you want. She totally can. Anyways, that's me just getting all gooey now. But anyways, she shared with me this thing, and it was Michael Jackson talking about how he is really, you know, the tours are heavy on the body, on everything, and he's just saying things the way they are. They interrupt this guy and they say, can you do it again, but not with the, not being negative about tours? And he's like, okay, fine, I'll be positive, you know, and I love the tour. And I'm like, okay. So when people see a equanimous individual, and I speak from experience, they think you're pretending. This is where, this because of things like that. Some of us really aren't overwhelmed in our nervous system, but when he got nudged, he could have said, look, I'm going to sit here and repeat my message, because I know that those who will come won't think of it as good or bad. I'm just telling them how it is to go to tour. So it's basically, I'm going to say, people who don't have familiarity with emotions, that's all he was doing. He was just saying how it was. So some might exaggerate it. Others would be like, oh my God, he's whining. But the point is, he was actually just sharing how it is, and he doesn't like it because it's a lot of stress. He doesn't have to like tours. He's still going to do them, you know? So what do we do when we have every day, right? 24 hours. Sometimes we won't like something, telling us about it with a capacity to share it a healthy way and then move past it. When people validate the charge and then they're leading with it and they allow themselves to say that's a bad group, that's a good group. So the exaggeration and the black and white thinking it's only one or the other, that's what is going to give you, it's a red flag if you have anyone in a leadership position that doesn't know how to be smiling and learn how to know that they're smiling not by pretending. They have compassion. And so there's a very big difference between successful leadership and what I call fear-based, which I would say unsuccessful, but they're not. But a guy telling you that the universe and energy doesn't care about if you do good or bad, that person is a bypasser who doesn't know what I know. The energy is love, which is your eustress, your oxytocin gene hormone, the capacity to self-regulate again and again and again. And you're not overwhelmed no matter what happens. So when someone walks into my door for mentorship, I say, let's sit down and chit chat. The minute I am aware of certain things that involve you have not securely attached, I remember what my therapist said. If they find you a safe haven, secure base, that's great. And I say, yes, but I know that you talked to me about timber and that I can snap and done, flip a switch, not because I did it on purpose, but because the words in the timber have a memory barrier or something happened. So I know as a smart human being who is responsible, as a spiritual personal growth, life coach, Reiki master, you use all the words because the words aren't what matter. It's I support people to be themselves. Why do they need you? They don't need me. They want me. Why? Because I offer them the opportunity to do something they're already doing. They're taking themselves seriously and they're wanting to grow. And they have opportunities, journal prompts, again, mindset practices. So when you know what you're offering and when you know what people want, if you want me to validate you and I am not going to, I'm going to feel good with my conscious because I'm not here to make money off of you. But when someone wants to tell me therapists only want to make money off of you because they're reacting to hearing 7 to 10 years and they're reacting from their experience and then they want to call bullshit the experts I learned from. So epistemically lazy people follow epistemically lazy, unhealed leadership. The chaos and rigidity that comes forth is their unhealthy mannerisms. It is very clear for anyone who understands discernment, equanimity, love. And it isn't, I'm going to pretend, no, but it isn't, I'm going to insult. It is the capacity to, with full mental clarity, I breathe. By the third time, I know if I have an adaptive child part in front of me who's pretending they have no core wounds and who's giving me they know how love life is and actually pretty much disrespecting mine. But I'm going to understand that they didn't notice that what they just described as love in those 3 times they contested, what I said was, no, that's not love for me. It's love for you because there's no way that I'm going to label and do something which is put them in a box because that's not my job. Their subjective life is what they're sharing. It's an honor. They find me someone that they feel safe with. So here's the part of where when someone doesn't understand compassion, they're not good at their job, no matter what their job is. And they're not good at the job of actually leaving a legacy behind that children can learn how to be strong from. You learn how to regulate your nervous system with a third attunement, repairing rupture, so more steady self. And luckily the younger generation have more knowledgeable parents who take the therapist seriously and not the ones who actually go and follow those who say with one little finger that they're going to dismantle modern day therapists. They actually say, yeah, you're bullshit, but hey, all the people who follow you, let's leave that one alone, shall we? So we manifest our reality and draw to us experiences and people that are in alignment with our consciousness. When I heard that 3D, 4D would be sticking around, I didn't actually think that was possible because I'm like, they're our brothers and sisters. They're capable. Now I know exactly what is at play. And those who don't believe in free will, well, people like to think that there's an end game and a start game because they need to know. Intellectual leadership without integration divides people. The people who follow them have epistemically lazy minds like their leaders do. And so they bring to you old information and they make fun of or insult new information. fact, if you'll notice, they create two teams, and then you notice just how much they accentuate the differences in the good and the bad word, evil. And so charges make people look quite obvious to those of us who are, okay. Intellectual arrogance, which means confidence, it's the fake kind, because any kind of intellectual is going to breed humility by letting you all know we know a number of things, and that's with objective data. I don't like to call them truths, but lovely Neil deGrasse says we have political truths, subjective truths, objective truths, and I'm like, yeah, that word. Some want us to use it. I'm just thinking, no, I don't believe in evil, and it's not a truth, it's a fact, because Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist, and others prove it, but also God made us perfect. So really, nothing is inconsistent between science and spirituality. The only ones who seem to need a good team and a bad team are the same ones. Polarization narratives. Oh, wow, look, intellectual leadership without integration. No wonder. They have a good team and a bad team. Knowledge, yeah, they don't know knowledge. I mean, they can regurgitate it, but they don't know wisdom, as they can't diffuse conflict with clarity, not within themselves, not with others. And so when you do notice those who are emotionally immature, their immaturity comes with their unhealed, I call them fear-based leaders, and you can't actually do anything because they will have them on a pedestal, but they're protecting the same core wounds. They also have the same good and bad story. I mean, so it's like, it is like math. It's like, okay, then they are like, and you're like, and then it's ego protection, defensiveness, inability to tolerate discomfort, and no, being right is not actually what we care about. We like to be regulated. So welcome aboard. Self-regulation. It is fun. What corrupts leadership in people? Unsteady self, but it's not that it was done on purpose. Because a third attunement repairing rupture is actually something we recently found out. So no parent is perfect. Nope, they're not God. Some person likes to say that fathers are God, and it's like, no, like God, no, not mothers, not fathers, not children, no human is God. No human is it. If any of her, I'm going to pause now, because otherwise I'm going to get sidetracked. Okay, so nervous system fluency, stress response awareness, regulation skills, somatic awareness for leaders. That's what's going to be rolling out around June-ish. Okay, so when we did visit emotional immaturity, it's not the hidden leadership crisis. It's obvious to those of us who do know. Rigidity and chaos, they show us that you don't know how to be flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. So when you are instead with this thing called faces, you are able to sift through sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. Thanks, Dr. Dan. And when you're caring about others, so the world doesn't ask of Maria more, doesn't ask of you more, because you don't feel overwhelmed. When you do meet those who do feel overwhelmed, you hug them and you support them to the best of your ability. For people who do mentorship with me, I refuse to work without a good therapist once they've described to me things that I know are important to have one, because their embodied brain is precious and can be worked with. Nervous system, it practices predictability. And as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, that which is the comfort zone and comfortable is not health all the time. So someone thinking that passion is adrenaline and dopamine, which means a fleeting moment, which is from the visceral, which means nothing more except for shitty ass movies. Drama kings and drama queens and anxiety kings and queens, and the smart therapists who care say don't call them that, they didn't choose it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that at this moment in time we still have a number of young and older ones who are really secure, meaning they're sure of their way of thinking. In fact, so much so that their entire community doesn't take children to hospitals. Once those children arrive at a certain age, then they send them out saying, we prepared you. Now, go out into the big bad world. You didn't have them be prepared for anything except for a narrative, but also a specific lifestyle that's so different from that other. And then you wonder why. That is, you set them up to fail in that environment. And then you are saying we gave you a choice. Sure you did. You didn't give a choice. You've made a decision. You've kept your community that way. The choice would be keep them with you, not you think, yeah. So it's actually, to me, that's basically stating to your own, you're making to your own self, you're saying, like, the entire community is saying and justifying their rigidity by saying we give them a choice at their whatever birthday, I forget the group, and so that makes you feel better and like you're actually adhering to free will. While I'm thinking, no, you're it's a very easy way. I'm going to use this. You know about those studies with the flies? This is also where those, a lot of people, the ones who love in a way that basically they are angry at humans. So with nature, I love animals, but I'm all about balance, meaning our ancestors hunted. I believe there's a way to respect, and that people who are in with integrity know this, okay? But I'm thinking of that study that they've done with the flies. I think it's flies, where they raise them in a cup and the flies don't fly out of the cup because they don't know any better. This is the same thing as the nervous system prioritizing predictability, which is why then I think of fractal. And so from one human to another, this is probably part of why Determined, Robert Sapolsky's book, and those who want to tell us that we have no self-agency say so. Difference is people with a steady self-image who are emotionally regulating by the minute know exactly what it is to be the embodied brain of you with your child parts, with all these explanations, and be okay with that. I'll make mistakes. I'll fuck it up. I'll bring in ego. I'll bring in self, meaning I'll bring in Maria, and I'd be okay with that because I didn't do anything wrong by being myself and by being a person, channeler, downloader, mystic, spiritual, God, science, all. Why would I be wrong as a person? Excuse me. Are you trying to say I'm defective by any chance? Like, okay, that those words don't mean anything to me. Meaning, you're not making any sense at all. No, in fact, actually, you're making no sense because God actually blessed us with all of our brothers and sisters. And the only reason they aren't all beautiful in the way they could be is because they got not a third attunement, repair, and rupture. I have an answer for every one of the billion of people out there and the children who are now subject to the chaos and rigidity. I don't have a question. I have a very straightforward equation. And when someone says, I find it hard to believe the Mephisto's life, you know that that's not only the one, that there are going to be 2 and 3 and 4, and I see them. Yeah, so the flies and the cup, and those who love nature saying, oh, you have zoos, you're mistreating animals, and anything that is of extreme is not actively contemplated. And it is with a charge. And so that's where that difference is. So what corrupts leadership in people is lack of personal responsibility to get themselves self-regulated, emotionally intelligent, therefore steady self-image that won't be budging from I keep learning, I keep on remembering humility, I keep on knowing everybody has knowledge, not everybody has wisdom. I remind myself that we have decided to allow people to have beliefs in certain ways to the point of where they don't take their children to doctors, as we've accepted that that's part of their community. That's their religious belief. Those who want to cast a stone at that, this is the part. It's not black and white. Our entire globe is not. So there is a way. That's why they have positions. I studied, my master's degree is in international relations and diplomacy. When I see emotional immaturity, I know what I'm looking at. And I remind myself, there's also people who are emotionally mature, Maria. Remember that. So ones who are very capable of maintaining stability because they do it as a repetition, and to be of good support and service to everything. Doesn't mean we will see every bit of work they put behind the scenes, and they're not going to look for praises because that's not how they work. But you better bet when I hear someone saying we're hopeless, we're doomed, social media this, government that, conspiracy here, demonic forces there, blah, I'm like, okay, wow, am I still with the same teenagers I met when I was a teenager? Yes, because that's what an emotionally immature person is to me. And that's a default mode network that feels helpless, hopeless, and like they are fragile and weak. And I think you're not weak, you are strong. But if you don't move into curiosity, Zen master with your laundry, obviously you don't know how to cry and have a good one. And then remember humanity, yes, they have a timeline. Knowledge was not always part of our timeline. Now we have more of it, and we know how the embodied brain works. Doesn't dismantle spirituality or the stories. No, it proves how it works. Restored embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating people. We do more of it. I almost reacted, and then I remembered sovereignty is the choice because you have a steady self. Nervous system, sovereignty, fluency, all of it. It's a choice. Some didn't get the choice, and some don't think it's possible, and some think it's not love. And that's even more sad. For a committed person, there is no such thing as failure, just lessons to be learned on the way. Thank you, Sadhguru. When things go wrong in life, that is when it shows who you are. When things go well, everyone can pretend to be fantastic. Thank you again, Sadhguru. So anyone will know what it is to live life and to have relationships. And anyone will understand that an emotionally mature person self-regulates. And so they won't be looking at the world and thinking we're going to hell. They will be knowing why we still have chaos and rigidity. And it is not something we'll be shaming, blaming, or faulting our entire species for. It is something we talk about. Because candlelight illuminates damage beneath the feet with wave of lights. But above all, we can ground, stay connected. And so you stay present. And in that presence, let me share with you, so you are able to be attuning and resonating, and you can trust. And so when someone contests you, you're like, okay, tell me who I am, what I am, whatever you want. But I'm going to reword this, so I won't spell it out for this episode, but I'll spell it out at another point. What are my emotions? So what is my nervous system activity? What are the other person's emotions and or their nervous system activity? Am I taking on? In this case, we don't take on because we differentiate. As soon as we pose that equation, here's the MWI that Dr. Daniel Siegel taught me about. And so the person who's not overwhelmed uses journaling, mindset practices, check out PayHip, check out Substack. We're going to have more for the paid subscribers, but the free also will get that, which are something I'm planning. And obviously YouTube and podcast. My point is, you know what's going on in here and you know what's going on out there. And so you're not going to be taking on feelings, because you also don't take on feelings. What's happening if you don't move in the physiological state of compassion is that you will co-regulate, and therefore you're going to be regulating to the dysregulated nervous system, which is why you want to differentiate. That was not mine 2 seconds ago. It's fine. Okay, it's that which is in front of me. I breathe, I regulate, I continue to interact because I just did it. Okay, and then it continues with those who are perceiving, though, and others, clients' feelings of inadequacy, of hopelessness, helplessness, or are these feelings mine? So when you have professionals who don't take the personal responsibility to get completely integrated and to completely be able to, in the moment of a session, ground, be able to connect, and then be able to stay present, they will begin to do that which I have heard others do. And so it's not a race, but it is something you choose. Self-sovereignty, self-regulation. And so personal responsibility to me comes with any profession that wants to tell me I help people. But it comes in all of professions, because the reality is it's made all by the people, for the people. So relational is what we work with, and affect is what we work with, and we work with sense of self because it's a steady one. And those people are able to bring in love because we have healthy fear. And so we won't take offense in any kind of situation, but we also won't get reactive to the point of where we label people. And we also don't paint or bring in what is ours. And that's why when we're neutral, those who are lacking the capacity to decide for themselves, they can become reactive to your neutrality. But furthermore, because they are not necessarily comfortable with the regulated body, but also because they didn't get it. And so here's where there's a bunch of things I could talk about. I won't. But my point is, looking for shame, blame, fault, revenge, looking for a party to be punished, and all are charges that we all understand. But the truth is, if there's that group of people who have emotional immaturity and unhealed leadership, first themselves and then their example, like Cusco was raised by Isma, then he meets Pacha, the Emperor's New Groove, he still, by the end of the movie, lies to Pacha to be able to live next door to him. That's shame. It's emotion. One of the therapists, I was reading one of their quotes, an emotion that people who are going to therapy will learn how to work with, and to, over time, know I deserve love. I just was set up to fail. because the person was also set up to fail, though. I don't have to look at it in a way of not understanding what dysregulation is. I got it because they had it. It's not feelings that are contagious. It's not some disease in a way of what ignorant people will use that word for, which is why they're looking to use different words. And so we might not be using them correctly at all ever, but the point is people who have the embodied brain use understand compassionately and with discernment chaos and rigidity are a symptom of emotional immaturity and unhealed leadership, and we don't pass it down. We're the ones who continuously look to we can do it better, we can work it out, yes we can, and we will make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. And those who have survivorship bias don't believe us, so that's okay. We'll be back with more. In the meantime, have a good one, and thanks for stopping by.